Hello, welcome. We continue today again with Proverbs or the sayings of King Solomon. Today we're going to read Proverbs or sayings about dealing with family, friends, and other people, about paying attention to your flock. We'll learn what they mean, what he means by that. We're going to read parables about the value of integrity over wealth, about the dangers of wicked people, about how wicked people endanger a kingdom. And then finally, there's going to be some advice for kings and leaders, bringing us back to the theme that we started yesterday. The first group goes from the first group about dealing with family, friends, and so on, goes from chapter 27, verse 5 to verse 22. And it gives, as I mentioned, advice for dealing with family, friends, and other people. Once in a while, a proverb appears to be a bit surprising considering the context. For example, verse 10 is a rare three-line proverb. Most of the proverbs are two lines, but verse 10 is three lines, and it tells us sometimes a close friend is a better source for help in time of need than a distant relative. Well, if you consider the paternalistic, or maybe better stated, family oriented nature of relationships in those days, this is a very profound statement. But the point is simple. Whether the distance between you and family member is physical or emotional, sometimes when that distance is great, it's better to seek help from a friend than to impose on the family member. That must have seemed almost like heresy in those days. The second section goes on from verses 23 to 27, and it seems almost like personal instruction for shepherds, but it contains good guidance for people leading and governing God's people on his behalf and for the higher good. One must always be diligent, for a good situation will not go on forever on its own. Just because things are going well now doesn't mean it will stay that way. Whether Solomon intended for this section to be read as general advice on animal husbandry or as a parable for a king's responsibility towards people, well, we're never going to know for sure. But its application to pastors and even to heads of household is very, very evident. The next section, the first 11 verses of chapter 28, remind kings, rulers, and all of us how integrity is more important than wealth. And it deals with our treatment of the poor and the life of those who are in poverty. So easy it is to look really right past those in need, with those who are in need, without even seeing them in our haste to accomplish the other things that we feel are very important. And these 11 verses kind of draw that out for us, help us to see that. The next two sections, from chapter 28, verse 12 to chapter 29, verse 15, warn us about wicked people. For the king, I mean, he's got to take care to understand the dangers that are posed by those who treat others in wicked ways. And he has to be sure that he does not allow such things in his kingdom. So also, we must individually take care lest we rationalize ourselves into inappropriate behavior toward others. Solomon then wraps up his advice and his proverbs, his proverbs um, for kings and for leaders of the people in the final dozen verses of chapter 29. This section begins with truths about how an increase in wicked people brings with it an increase in sin, which I suppose isn't all that surprising, and how people without a vision to guide them become unrestrained. You may say, you might say that it's hard. They become hard to herd, if you will, as cats. How important a vision is then for that. Section ends with a warning about two contrasting attitudes: the attitude of faith, the attitude of unbelief. Those two cannot be reconciled. One cannot compromise between the two because a compromise only draws the righteous into sin and it really endangers the whole. Nor are we able to or to compromise truth with the supposed truth of the world around us. For the end result will always be the loss of the real truth. Remember always Jesus' words to us in John 16, verse 33. In the world, you will have tribulation, but take heart. I have overcome the world. May God be with you and bless you as you read through these proverbs, and as we continue on our program of reading together. I look forward to spending more time with you, and I pray that God continues to help you to grow and to strengthen you in your reading. I look forward to gathering with you the next time.